Hello, hello. Welcome back. I am continuing on the topic of Milo Yiannopoulos disinvited from the CPAC conference for allegedly supporting pedophilia. I made this video yesterday about it, just stating the basic facts, and also, well, I stated that I don't think that Milo is a pedophile, but, well, he is still creepy, and I guess I will explore this further. And like somebody called Trump House sent me this link to Milo's explanations, like comments, and it's this video. So in this video, like he starts off by saying that as a journalist he has exposed 3 pedophiles, and well, if that's true, I'm not gonna like check on it right now, but I guess I will like believe him on this. And so if he has done that, that is great, and I guess he should stick to being a journalist instead of this Oscar Wilde clone that, you know, just gets people's attention with, you know, dumb shock stuff. He should actually like do more honest work, such as exposing pedophiles. And also he says in the end, like close to the end, that he was one of the first British journalists to talk about Jimmy Savile, like, you know, when it was revealed a few years ago that he was a really pedophile monster and stuff. And yeah, I don't think that Milo Yiannopoulos is anything like compared to Jimmy Savile. Like, I don't think that Milo is like a truly evil guy or anything like that, but still, that doesn't make him, I don't know, that great either. So let's start with exploring. I have like 3 videos. I'm gonna take a look at this one that Trump House posted on my channel, and then there's this interview between Joe Rogan and Milo Yiannopoulos from, I'm not sure when it was, like was it last year or something, and also this stream with drunken peasants that I also like discussed in my previous video. So let's take a look at this clip.
Led to confusions. For instance, I was told that one of the numbers that people are fixating on is 13, and the implication that I was advocating for sex between 13-year-olds. Well, the video that came out was edited to include a section where I said that consent was arbitrary and oppressive, but that was from a discussion about affirmative consent on college campuses. That was placed next to a section about 13-year-olds to make it look like I was saying that consent for 13-year-olds was arbitrary and oppressive, and that's not the case. When I spoke about relationships between...
So he mentions 2 videos, here he says it's some video that's been edited to make him look bad. I haven't seen that video, and if it's been edited, I don't see much point in watching it anyway. But he does later admit that there is an unedited video, and I assume he means this one, since this is like, it says it's uncut 5-minute video of Milo advocating for pederasty. And as far as I know, this, like, I didn't see any like edits here, so it seems to be that this is the real deal. It just has these like text subtitles added in some bits to like notify what Milo says. But okay, let's take a look at this.
So you can't. The reason these age of consent laws exist is because we have to set some kind.
This is a controversial point of view I accept, but we get hung up on this kind of this sort of child abuse stuff, and to the point where we're heavily policing even relationships between consenting adults, sort of grad students and professors at universities.
Well,
so this is just to establish, like, yes, he is right about that they are talking about consent on college campuses. Like, that's what this discussion starts off with, but I think it like takes a different turn. So I think it's sort of unclear. Like I don't think his claim is correct that it's just about consent of college campuses when he talks about the 13-year-old. So let's take a listen of this.
I'm saying.
Well,
so you can't.
that's-
The reason these age of consent laws exist is because we have to set some kind of a barometer here. We've got to pick
I
an
completely
age and go,
understand.
okay, look, this is the age where we can reasonably be assured you're an adult, you can give informed consent, you understand the risks and pregnancy risks and
And
all that
I
bullshit.
think the law is probably about right.
So at least Milo agrees with the law being probably about right. So I don't have a problem with that. However,
Probably roughly the right age. I think it's probably about okay. But there are certainly people who are capable of giving consent at a younger age. I certainly consider myself to be one of them. People who are sexually active younger. I think it particularly happens in the gay world, by the way. And in many cases, actually, those relationships with older men. This is one of the. This is one of the reasons I hate the left. This sort of stupid, one size fits all policing of culture. This sort of arbitrary
Milo.
This arbitrary.
Let him talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This arbitrary. I'll be quick. This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, the understanding that many of us have of the complexities and subtleties and complicated nature of many relationships. People are messy and complex, and actually, in the homosexual world, particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming of age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable and sort of a rock where they can't speak to their parents. Some of those relationships are some of the most
molestation to me. It sounds
Yeah, well,
like
you know what?
It
You know
sounds
what?
like
I'm
Catholic
grateful.
priest molestation to me.
And you know what? I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him.
so they I guess you can say they started off talking about college campuses and consent and the left's idea on this consent laws and stuff, but it derailed. Like he was talking about more generally about relationships between young boys and old men, and then he mentions this red guy in a red mask. He said that it sounds like Catholic priest molestation to me, and then he basically admits, like, yes, I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him. So he's basically agreeing that yes, it is Catholic priest molestation of, let's say, underage people. I sort of agree with Milo that if you sex with 13-year-olds isn't technically pedophilia, it's hebephilia. Hebe was some goddess of youth in Greek mythology, and I heard this term just like a few months ago for the first time. So it's like to differentiate, like, is sexual attraction to early adolescents, typically ages 11 to 14. Like, it doesn't make it, well, I guess you can, I would say that it makes it a bit more acceptable than pedophilia, and like, of course, in some cultures, girls got married when they were 13 or whatever, so I guess there's like a room for an academic discussion to, maybe we should lower these consent laws, but like people who are actually advocating, like, yeah, this is important, I don't think they are doing it for like altruistic reasons, and more like because they are, well, creepy guys who just like younger people in that way. And that's what I think Milo is doing. So yeah, he is. I still say I don't think he's a pedophile, but he is a creepy guy who condones homosexual acts between older men and younger boys, and like teenage boys and older men. And yeah, I think that's not acceptable. Let's just put it that way. Okay, let's go with and yeah, he is like describing his first proper relationship or something.
And speaking from my own personal experience, all I was seeking to convey was that I had a relationship, I had an experience as a 17-year-old with a 29-year-old guy that turned into a 10-year relationship. I mean, my first real proper boyfriend was the guy I ended up being with for 10 years. I'm not with him anymore, but that's a sizable relationship, and not the sort of abusive caricature of, older man kind of using, abusing, and disposing of a younger boy.
So, is he Father Michael, or was it before this 10-year relationship that he was involved with Father Michael? Because let's take a look at this Joe Rogan interview.
When I was 14, trust me, I was the predator. I was the predator.
You were the
14.
predator. You were chasing after the priest.
The instigator.
He was trying to stay close to God.
I was chasing everybody. I was aggressively seeking out sexual company of adults because I knew it would horrify people, because I wanted sort of power over them. It was my way of rebelling. My way of rebelling. I was the predator at 14, let me tell you.
Do you think that's what's...
So he said he was a predator when he was 14. So it appears that he had homosexual relations before he was 17, when he had this 29-year-old guy who was so nice to him. So that cause like in this video, I think he's leaving out that bit about like when he was 14 and stuff. So I think that's sort of deceptive or dishonest or something. And there was some clip I was supposed to show from here.
I was trying to go on this.
You were the one who was anti-pedophile earlier.
I told you it wasn't the pedophilia. I was after I lost my virginity. I was
How
in my
old were you?
teens. I was in my teens.
14.
I was in my teens.
You said you were 14.
Something like that.
That's what you
I
said.
was in
14 is
I was in my
pedophilia, buddy.
teens.
I don't know how they rocket and marry old England.
I was in my teens.
Over here in my country, in
you're saying
fucking where you are right now,
You've never
America.
seen a 15-year-old girl at any point in your life, however old you were, you've never seen a 15-year-old girl you thought was hot?
Yeah, when I was 15.
No, when
Thought
you were
they were hot
25. When you were 25.
I'm not retarded, dude.
When you were
So yeah, here he is also saying like, well, Joe Rogan says 14 and he says like roughly something like that. So I don't think like if he was 17, like if he was 17, I don't think he would say that, yeah, it's roughly like that, because I think he would say like, yeah, I was older, so it could be 14, it could be 13, it could be 15 when he was like, and yeah, like I played the other clip that he said when he was 14 he was a predator. So so yeah, once again, I don't think that's technically pedophilia, but it doesn't make it much better, just very slightly. And then let's have a look at this clip.
Michael?
so much less. Yeah, he's going to get killed now. But
Who is Father Michael?
I'm not. No, I bet.
Was a real dude?
I shouldn't
Made you suck his dick for real?
Don't make me. I was quite enthusiastic about it. I fucked my English teacher too. But I
How old was
shouldn't say
he
that
at the
either.
time?
I don't know. He's quite young, quite hot.
Really?
Yeah.
And so that's where it all started with Father Michael.
No.
Was that post the tranny?
Yeah, it was post. So I
thing?
wasn't like I wasn't
Drag
abused
queen?
as a child or anything like that.
So
So Milo said,
So I
thing?
wasn't
Drag
abused
queen?
as a child or anything like that.
I think I wasn't abused as a child or anything like that. Or like he says it bit like Joe Rogan is talking at the same time and he is like sort of unclear. So maybe I'm mishearing it, and if so, please point it out in the comment section. But at least so far, unless somebody says otherwise, this comment this means that he wasn't abused as a child. But then here is this comment from Milo's Facebook that he made as a response to this, being banned from CPAC and being accused of being a pedophile. He says, "I am a gay man and a child abuse victim. I would like to restate my other disgust at adults who sexually abuse minors. I am horrified by pedophilia, and I have devoted large portions of my career as a journalist to exposing child abusers." So here he says that he is a child abuse victim. So which of these comments is true? This one or this one? I don't know. I don't know. He's lying in one of these cases, and I'm not gonna assume that this is true, so he was just lying here. Like, if he was lying here, why was he lying here? Like, why? What's the point? Like, I just think it establishes him as an unreliable person. And here is I would like to restate my utter disgust at adults who sexually abuse minors. And talking about this priest that taught him to give good blowjobs, Father Michael, it sounds like an adult who sexually abused him when he was a minor. I just think there's some sort of mental chicanery going on, that he is he doesn't see it as abuse, but I think in legally it would be abuse, and most people would see it as abuse, but he is no, that sort of stuff. He has this very let's say a 13-year-old and an adult priest have sex. He can selectively choose okay, that one case might be abuse when the priest forced him, but not that one. The other one isn't abuse, because I think that's how he sees things. And this is interesting. I like this comment. Lena Dunham molests her sister for a decade and goes on The View to a crowd of applause. Okay, I have no idea. Is it Lena Dunham, not Lana? Whatever, I don't know what this is. But you talk about your own experience as a victim of sexual abuse and get called a pedophile. This is what the left has turned into. I thought CPAC, this is conservative. I think this was right wing. It is not. I don't think it has anything to do with the left. Even Milo himself pointed out in this interview with Rogan that the left, like Salon, they are actually pushing pedophilia. And this is something I agree with Milo, that Salon is definitely pushing pedophilia, and it should be taken into account. So I'm not advocating lynching Milo or anything, but I don't suggest you trust him either, because I think he's sort of saying whatever whatever he thinks is good for him. Okay, let's move on. And then it's just he makes a couple of statements that is reveal something about the nature of homosexuals. This is not so much about pedophilia or anything. Well, it's sort of related, but okay.
Is say that in many, sorry, I have really bad flu. Is say that in many gay relationships, for many young gay men, the first relationship they really have, the first long relationship they have, is with an older guy who perhaps takes care of them financially, takes care of them emotionally, and very often that can be a release. It can be an escape from an abusive or a uncaring or a difficult household.
So, for many homosexuals, their first proper homosexual relationship is between an older man who takes care of them financially and emotionally, and they are escaping from an what's the troubled household or abusive or
escape from an abusive or a uncaring or a
abusive, uncaring household. And this argument I've heard several times from like different peoples. Like, people tend to become homosexuals if they come from broken homes. Like, especially like often people with daddy issues, like if they were raised by a single mom or something. Well, I was raised by a single mom, so I'm not gay, but I get, I don't know. Thinking myself, it then never made me. I can understand it made me like have, like when I was younger, have problems dealing with the opposite sex. Like, I was even more shy than most people probably, because I didn't have like the role model in my life in that way. But anyway, enough about me. So yeah, he is sort of, he is like providing evidence to this hypothesis that I've heard in many places, that people become homosexuals because they have father issues or they have come from broken households. So it would suggest that it is some sort of mental disorder, and like they trying to find that acceptance from other men that they never got from their own father or something like that. And okay, let's take a look at this.
Retract my statement. I shan't slander you further, but you are advocating for cross-generational relationships here. Can we be honest about that?
Yeah, I don't mind admitting that, and I think particularly in the gay world and outside the Catholic Church, if that's where some of you want to go with this, I think in the gay world, some of the most important, enriching, and incredibly, life-affirming, important, shaping relationships, very often between younger boys and older men, can be hugely positive experiences for those young boys. They can even save those young boys from desolation, from suicide,
consensual. Hold on.
all sorts of things.
So in the Catholic world, like relationships between younger and older men can be like their life-saving relationships and stuff. So I don't know. It just makes Catholicism. I don't know how to pronounce the word anymore, but whatever. It makes this religion sound really bad. Like all of this, like when I was a teenager, when I first heard about this Catholic priests being pedophiles, and after that, like Catholicism sounds really bad. It's just this, like, because I thought it was Christianity and you're supposed to believe in Christ and all that, and that is supposed to save you. Milo, he is from born of a Jewish mother, but he was raised a Catholic, so I don't see any actual like faith in Jesus or God in him or anything like that, or any I don't see. He doesn't seem to be like representing or promoting many Christian values or embodying them or anything like that. He is more like, he embodies Catholic values, which is child abuse and like being dejected from the world and, just trying to find somebody to, I don't know, make you feel good. It just, makes Catholicism sound very crappy and like disturbing cult. I like this. This isn't so much related to like any pedophilia or hebephilia stuff either, but I find this comment interesting.
This is really water sports.
It's all
This
decadence.
is it. You
It's
see,
all against the
this is
Lord.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People are only gay to be transgressive.
Why
They
don't you just
choose
pray
to
the
be
gay away,
gay to be
Milo?
naughty.
How come you're not praying the gay
They
away?
choose to be gay to be
It
naughty.
seems like
He says people aren't born gay. He says it somewhere else, and here he says like gays choose to be gay to be transgressive or naughty. I find this quite fascinating because nowadays we all hear that you don't choose to be gay, you're just born that way, but he is an actual homosexual and he just says it's a choice. So, and like taking his other confessions into account that he was abused. Here he says he was abused, and actually I do believe that he was abused as a, like, not necessarily, I don't know, as a child, but as a teenager. It seems like when he said he was 14 and he was a sexual predator, it just sounds that he was like like I guess prior to that he was probably abused, and like, I don't know, instead of wallowing in like self-pity, he tried to like, overcome his feeling of shame and like, to become an even bigger predator than the one that abused him, or I don't know, I'm just conjecturing here like how he saw it. But anyway, like, so yeah, to conclude this thing, like, I don't think he is a pedophile, but he seems to be supporting hebephilia, and especially homosexual hebephilia, which I find disturbing. And I don't think that, like, because clearly he's blatant homosexual and flamboyant and whatever. And he clearly sees homosexual just as an acceptable lifestyle choice or whatever that, well, I don't. And I think, well, but at least I appreciate that he does offer some, like, evidence, like some clues to what actually makes people gay, because I'm gonna like praise him for that or thank him for that, because like there's many theories like nowadays, like I don't know many, but okay, some theories nowadays that, but I'm not really sure what is true, like, because it's not politically correct to, like, make any assessments of like pedophilia, Freudian slip, of homosexuality on what causes it, and especially like to think that it might be some sort of disease, whether it's a mental disease or a biological disease, because there's like one theory that it's toxoplasmosis, like some sort of bacteria, a parasite or something that gets transmitted through like anal intercourse, and that's how it's transmitted. Like an old man, like, well, a boy gets like abused as a child or a teenager by an older man with this parasite, and when that man gets older, then he abuses another young boy, and then when that young boy gets older, then he abuses another one, and that's how it's transmitted. That's one theory, and I think it sounds somewhat credible. But then there are of course these like he reported, like, these cases that people often come from broken homes, and this turns people gay for whatever reason, and maybe it might be a bit of both, that it comes from a broken home, having daddy issues, and also having this parasite. Like, maybe one of them isn't always enough to turn somebody gay, but if you have both, it's very likely that you have these unnatural impulses.